Turn me up a little bit, or just a little bit more. I got a message that I want to send across the world. Listen, baby.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm coming to you with a fresh shape up, and there is a reason for that, and it connects to the overall theme of this particular video, because I had a barber that I've been with for a while, and then when you got a good barber, you kind of got to ride it out. He was only working on Fridays and Saturdays, and that was extremely inconvenient for me. Not only my shooting schedule, but enabling me to rest on the weekends, to spend time with my kids and recharge, because once I got my hair cut, I had to shoot a bunch of stuff so that I actually look presentable when I'm appearing before you guys. And I was talking to my wife about trying to find a window of time in my schedule where I could have a day off to rest and recharge, have a family day, have an admin day, all these various methods and mechanisms that have been suggested to me to prolong my energy and my YouTube life, my creator life. And I couldn't do it based on the schedule that I had to maintain because of my barber. And my wife just had like the simple, like very simple solution. She was like, why don't you find a new barber? And it hadn't occurred to me, because I'm like, oh, well, I got a barber. I got to do, that's important. I got to do things that, I got to situate my life. And now I can't take days off because my barber works on Friday, Saturday. And so the next time I went to my barber, I just said, hey man, the getting cut on the weekends doesn't really work for me. Is there any way I could, you ever come during the early part of the week? Which I knew the answer was no. And he said no. And I said, well, is there anybody you would recommend when I need to get cut during the early part of the week? And he very simply, yeah, my man right there. Yeah, he's got you. And the guy gave me his card and was like, just let me know whenever you need anything. And I went this week and got a haircut, and it completely changed the paradigm of how I can situate and structure my week. And now I can have days off from the simple fact of saying, you know what, this isn't working for me. This is important for me to be able to preserve these windows of time for myself. I need to find something that works for me. A simple act of self-care that, if not for the intervention of a third party, in this case, my wife, it's not that it wouldn't have occurred to me to do. I knew that was an option. I just wouldn't have taken that step. By virtue of my behavior, I didn't show enough self-care about all the things that changing that schedule could bring, and also didn't want to deal with the awkwardness of having that conversation with my barber. But it was a simple conversation, and he didn't have a problem with it. The new guy was excited, and it completely changed things for me. It very much relates to the video that I just posted a few weeks ago about being trapped on the plane, because I got a lot of questions about what was different this time around. This is just to remind you, if you haven't seen that one, I've talked about how I am claustrophobic, and being on grounded planes is one of the things that triggers my claustrophobia. Not so much being in the air, or even turbulence in the air or anything like that. When the plane's moving on the ground, it's totally fine. It's just when it's stopped. I got a lot of questions about that particular portion of it. And to that, I can say, I think the issue with it being stopped is because I'm not on a schedule. Because I know from experience that when it stops for a reason, because something's going on. That something going on could be as simple as we're not done offloading this plane, or it can be as complex as we have a power outage, which is what happened, and it's going to be a matter of hours. I was on a train one time that got stopped because they had electrical issues, and it happens on the subway all the time, which are those are two of the other places where this happens. And if you have, that could be that could go on however long. And that's why it's when it's specifically stopped that I have an issue, because there's something outside of this, something I have no control over, that is stopping me from being able to get out of this container. As long as we're moving, I feel like we're on a schedule. So that's the part as far as the stopping. I would also say one of the things that helps in that moment is to get an indication of time. And you know that's the last thing that they want to give you. You know that's the last thing they want to give you, because anytime they give you, oh, it'll be 15 minutes, it'll be 10 minutes, it'll be 30 minutes. Once that point comes, if you haven't moved, you're going to hear about it. And I'm the kind of people that you would going to hear about it from. So I have to claim ownership over that. They don't want to give you a timetable, but the timetable is so important for people like me, because when you just say, we're sorry, we have a bit of a delay, we're stopped, and you don't give me anything, then my brain immediately goes to the worst case scenario. My brain immediately goes to the power outage and we could be here for 3 hours or longer. People have been here for even way longer than that. That's why my anxiety can spike with just a 5-minute delay or just a 3-minute delay, because during that 5 or 3 minute delay, I don't know it's going to be 5 or 3 minutes. In my mind, this very well could be the beginning of what my life, this is what my life is now. I guess this is it. Do I have any chargers? Because I guess once the iPad and the laptop and the phones are done, I have no more technology forever. It's crazy, but that's kind of where my brain goes in those moments. But the reason why this particular instance, I believe, was different than times in the past that I've been in this situation is I used the tools available that I have learned over the years to mitigate my anxiety. There were moments that I had these tools available to me and did not use them in the past. And that's where the self-care comes in. In the past, I've been ashamed of my own reaction. As opposed to taking my reaction seriously and taking the necessary steps to decrease my anxiety, I actually increased my anxiety by putting pressure on myself, comparing myself to other people, and shaming myself for feeling the way that I felt. And I hadn't done a ton of work around this issue lately. I hadn't addressed it directly lately before this happened. So all I can take from that is I've reached a new point of self-acceptance, where in these moments where I'm feeling distressed, I'm actually able to manage me and deal with me and not compare myself to other people and not feel ashamed of my natural reactions to things. I understand that there are aspects of this that are irrational and don't necessarily make logical sense from the outside. I can use that in a healthy way by kind of having a conversation with that anxiety and communicating that this is kind of like a check engine light that came on by mistake. Like, this is a survival instinct gone awry, and I can manage it that way by having that constructive conversation, not the angry conversation that comes from the outside that says, what's wrong with you? Why can't you pull yourself together? The fact that I reacted that way to myself in the past was what prevented me from using the tools that I had readily available to me in order to help myself through this situation. So it's extremely significant that I managed getting through this situation, but it's maybe even more so the self-care that it showed and the self-acceptance that it showed how I managed getting through this situation. And that self-care and that acceptance can actually extend now that I'm on the opposite side of it, because one of the other things that I've noticed too, I tend not to sleep. And sleep is, I'm probably going to do a whole video about sleep at some point, but I tend not to sleep before I leave and go out of town. I'm really excited. It's tough for me to relax. I have all these last minute things I want to do and last minute projects I want to finish. And, you know, I have all these extra things that I will always toss onto my agenda before I leave. So I rarely ever sleep, at most maybe a few hours. So all of these, one of the through lines to all of these instances where my anxiety kicks up in this moment on planes is I'm on very little sleep. And one of the things that I can do is to project forward a couple of days and plan for that. I actually have a trip coming up in a few weeks, and I'm saying this out loud in order to try and challenge myself to do the thing and take the steps that help you. Not trying to be some foreign version of yourself that adheres to how you think everybody else behaves. You need to manage you. And taking those steps, I feel like is an incredible way for me to be able to manage me. Now we'll see. We'll see. You know, I'm putting it out there. So hopefully I can hold myself accountable, and hopefully you guys can too. And I very much appreciated you guys' comments about this. They were extremely helpful. It's really great to know that I'm not alone in these moments, and you aren't either, which is one of the reasons why we have this channel. So I very much appreciate you. Okay, there's one more thing. There was actually one more thing that I thought about, which is an aspect of this. This actually kind of ties into both channels, actually, now that I think about it. One of the reasons why I think I feel so much pressure, I put so much pressure on myself to, you know, I try and will myself to serenity in these moments, is that I know that if I were to freak out on a plane, because I feel trapped, confined, that's going to get worse before it gets better. That's just a fact of the matter. If I wild out on a plane, I'm not going to get free sooner. That's one thing that we know. I'm not getting the benefit of any doubt in those moments. That just comes from 4 decades of being in our society the way that it is. So unfortunately, that is one of the legitimate, tangible aspects of the pressure that I put on myself that is actually fair and bears itself out. But it does not help in these moments. It really does not help in these moments.
I got a message that I want to send across the world. Listen.